Welcome everybody again. This meeting is being recorded, and our goal is to take this recording and put it on the Friends of Pacheco Valle website. There's the URL for the website, so that if people want to see or review it after this meeting, give us a few days to figure out how to do it, then the full recording should be available to everybody. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. If you have questions during the presentation, first by Friends of Pacheco Valle and then by Lieutenant Bates, please hold your questions until we finish with Lieutenant Bates' presentation. And then we'll open it up. And if you do have questions, try to use the chat. And the chat is is part of Zoom. For those who don't know, there's also a way to raise your hand virtually, or if you can't do that, put your hand up at the screen. And I ask the members of Pacheco Valle, Friends of Pacheco Valle, to help keep track of these, so we'll make sure that all the questions get answered.
That's what happened.
Here's what we're going to cover. Why is Friends of Pacheco Valle involved in this? How do license plate cameras work? What about privacy concerns? How much do they cost? And what is the role and the participation of the Novato Police Department? And of course, that's for Lieutenant Bates.
Okay, so 3 people are in the waiting room.
3 people are in the waiting room. Okay.
Jane, go into participants and just enable the waiting room.
Admit all.
Now it's in. Let's see.
Just admit all. There you go.
They're all, but Kathy, we haven't been able to do what you've said.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I wish we could. Okay. All right. So let's begin. This is our agenda. And let's start with why Friends of Pacheco Valle?
Why? That's a good question.
Yeah, why are we involved in this? Well, let's start with a view of our beautiful valley. This is a satellite image. We all know and love this place. This beautiful valley, we all share it together. And you can see all the houses down there. We're actually organized like this. There are 5 associations that contain 518 attached homes, 5 HOAs, if you will. And if you're one of those, you can look, for example, Meadow, which is about in the middle of the screen. The Meadow HOA has 116 attached homes. And in addition to the 5 HOAs, there are 2 groupings of single-family homes, 15 of them on Oak Forest and 62 on Pacheco Creek Drive. And that's a total of 77. You can see in the lower left, we're 595 total homes. And if you'd say, well, there's a couple of people per household, kind of an average, we're something 1,000 or more people living in this valley.
One more to admit.
One more to admit. Okay.
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 Keep going.
And the other thing that's really special about our valley that many of us appreciate is that it's our own valley. There's one way in and out. When we think about fires and fire safety, we wish there were 2 ways out, but we only have one way in and out. So for fire safety, it's maybe a disadvantage, but for the feeling of safety from other kinds of harm, we probably like this with one way in and out. And in the case of license plate cameras, that makes it relatively easy to survey the comings and goings of people. So more about Friends of Pacheco Valle. We're a 501c3 charity, and our purpose is to serve the valley. We were established by residents in the valley, including the people that are on this Zoom tonight. And we use donations from people in the valley to improve the Valley for everybody. Just a quick introduction. I'm the president of Friends of Pacheco. My wife Jean next to me is on our board. Kathy Schlegel is the treasurer. Peter Logan is the secretary, and Larry Kakachi is our other board member. We all work as volunteers for no pay and try to do our best to spend the donated money wisely. Here are some of the things we have done. I'm sure you know about. We rebuilt the entrance gazebo and put in a new sign that tells the world they're entering a special place, Pacheco Valle. We're working with the city and the Nevada Fire for fire safe landscaping for median islands. This happens to be right next door to the gazebo, and we've had a struggle until this last year finding plants that the deer don't eat, as I'm sure everybody knows. So we think we've hit on a pretty good combination now. We'll see. Something that's in the future, we've made a submittal to the city to put in a crosswalk where Alameda del Prado crosses itself as a public safety measure. And so the city has this that's been delayed in getting processed. It has to go through a number of city processes to be even heard. There's just now been a new public works director in Novato, and that may help speed things up, but don't hold your breath. We're waiting on that. The wheels are going to grind fairly slowly. We also partner as Friends of Pacheco with the city of Novato, the Novato Fire Protection District, the Pacheco Valley Firewise Committee, and the Marin County Open Space District. Now, several of you have expressed interest in a license plate reading camera, and because there is no other entity that represents all of us, Friends of Pacheco agreed to investigate. We got a committee of 2 people, Peter and Larry, who investigated, starting with the Novato Police Department, were referred to an outfit called Flock Safety. And they're the ones that are telling us how these things work. And so Flock Safety installs these cameras across the country. And of course, this is their information. Thousands of neighborhoods across the USA use these cameras these days. And Flock's statistics are that they help police solve 7% of the reported crime in the US. You can see on the left-hand side, they have 1,000 crimes a week solved.
How about you, Brooksy? Yeah, let me get my beer.
Can I ask people to mute themselves, please? And 75%, importantly, we did not know this when we started, 3/4 of all crimes involve use of a motor vehicle. So these license plate reading cameras are a real aid to the police in solving crimes.
Hey.
Somebody needs to mute. Okay. The way it works is that Flock Safety must have a signed agreement with the Nevada Police Department to even install these cameras. And the police would use this system to identify vehicles used in a crime, to identify stolen vehicles, and to automatically send the stolen vehicle tag information and the make and model of the vehicle to the police. If there is a crime committed in the valley, the police would get a report from one of us, a resident probably, that a crime has been committed. Then they would use the Flock information to see who entered the valley before the crime was committed and who left after it was committed to get a head start on identifying who the perpetrator of the crime was. I think I just told you that. Yes, that's what the police would do. And Lieutenant Bates will tell you in more detail how that works. How do the cameras themselves work? They don't require being hooked up to the power system. They're self-contained. They have a little solar voltaic panel on the top of their the camera pole. The camera is motion activated. That is, day and night, it can sense the movement of a vehicle and will snap a picture of the rear of the vehicle, no people. So it works 24/7. It's a bit like having an extra watchman or policeman at the entrance to our valley, just keeping an eye on things. Here's what it looks like when they're being installed on the left. Somebody putting it up, you can see they're not too tall, 14 or 15 feet, I think it's the height. And then the installed camera is on the right. Flock Safety came to the valley, or perhaps did this with satellite. They picked a location on island, what we call Island 2, which is the one that's adopted by Marcia Basala. Because of the curvature of the road, they can have the red camera there taking pictures of the rear vehicles entering the valley and the blue camera vehicles leaving the valley. Just for orientation, the meadows on the right and the gazebo is in the upper right. Now, what about privacy? We know there have been a lot of questions and a lot of concern about this. LR cameras do not photograph people. They do photograph the backs of the vehicles, and they do photograph rear license plate. This data is kept by Flock for 30 days, and then it's automatically deleted unless the police are actively using a particular piece of it for investigation of a crime. The access to the license plate data, there's no access by any resident, including Friends of Pacheco Valley. The only group that gets access is by Novato police, and that's only if a stolen vehicle is detected or if a crime has been reported. Valle residents with privacy concerns, any of us, can opt our vehicles out, and if we opt out, each time our vehicle comes in or out of the valley and a picture is taken, it's automatically deleted. So it's not part of the ongoing record. How much do they cost? Well, in order to do this, somebody has to actually sign a contract with Flock. So Friends of Pacheco Valley, as a 501c3 corporation, is able to do this. We can actually sign a contract, as we have with landscapers and contractors and so on. And we can also coordinate the initial and annual payments. Installation costs $1,300 for 2 cameras, $750 each. And we are suggesting that if people in the valley want these cameras, that Friends of Pacheco would pay for this installation cost. It's a one-time cost to install. And the annual cost is $5,000, $2,500 per camera for 24/7 surveillance and the maintenance of the camera and the equipment. And we're suggesting here, just a suggestion, that we divide the payment up $2,500 by the 5 HOAs. That's $500 a year by each HOA, and $2,500 by contributions to Friends of Pacheco, tax deductible, of course, by Valle residents, primarily single-family homeowners. And we would allow people to designate a donation to us for this purpose if they wish. Now, the main event, what is the police role and what do they think about all this? We're really pleased to have with us Lieutenant Alan Bates, who's very familiar with this program. He's going to tell us a bit about neighborhood crime data, Novato PD experience with the cameras, privacy concerns, ICE reporting issues, and other things. So I would ask you all I'm going to turn off the presentation. I'd ask you all to give Lieutenant Bates your full attention and hold the questions until he's finished. And then we'll try to have an orderly question and answer period. So Lieutenant Bates, why don't you take over as the speaker?
And Patrick and Lieutenant Bates, if people have questions, you can put them in the chat. Because I think Lieutenant Bates said he will also monitor the chat, and I will too.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
my hope is that at much like what Tom just posted right there, I plan to, or I hope to at least flow through my answers, answer some of those questions as I'm going through it. At least I'm hoping to. That's the plan. Hi everybody, good evening. My name is Lieutenant Alan Bates. I'm Special Services Lieutenant at the Nevada Police Department. I've been employed there just coming up on 19 years now. And Special Services is basically everything except for your standard cop in a patrol car. So if it's something different than somebody that's responding to 911 calls, I'm probably helping manage it in some way. I wanted to thank you again for the opportunity to come and speak. We affectionately refer to your area as the Bird Streets. It helps some of our newer officers figure out where to go and where the calls are coming from.
Bird Street,
The Bird Streets.
okay?
And some of us that have worked here as long as we have also know it's called the IJ building, but the newer ones don't catch up on that. So, Patrick, if you don't mind, if you have the ability to hit mute on everybody, I don't want to
Yes. Let me see what I can do here. Participants, can I mute all?
Mm-hmm.
I can mute everybody down the line.
If it's
Oh, you just moved it down, I think. Yeah, you go. Wait, you muted down.
Unmute, just a minute, Alan. How do I unmute somebody? I'm very sorry. I hit mute.
You can't unmute.
I can.
You cannot.
Oh, come on. There's got to be a way. There. Now, Alan, speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good.
It's working.
Okay.
Okay, everybody just mute yourself, please.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
So I want to hit the low-hanging fruit first, and frankly, as far as I'm concerned, are easy to answer. The first is notifications to ICE and sharing with ICE. This system is statewide, nationwide, and international. Flock is everywhere. It's private organizations, government entities. There's no question about it. But as far as ICE notifications, there's a couple issues. Number one, we are prohibited from sharing any of our data or access to our camera information with any federal agency or any agency outside of the state of California for that matter. So we do not, have never, and will never share any of our data with any federal agency, specifically ICE. We're prohibited on several different layers, but that's just number one. The option to share with outside agencies is controlled by us. If we wanted to, we could have our own agnostic system outside of any kind of sharing. So we don't accept sharing data from other agencies, meaning if Vallejo offered their cameras to us, we could deny it or we could accept it, and vice versa. Agencies will reach out and ask to share data with us specifically because we partner in certain cases, and we have the option of whether or not to share with them. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as the ICE sharing and any use for any reason in immigration is prohibited by state law and our policy. The next, I believe on your slide, was privacy concerns. Now, what I can tell you, and Patrick hit most of those topics, it doesn't take a photo of people. It only photographs the back end of a vehicle, specific for their license plate data, and also, and we can dig deeper into this if people are curious, but also vehicles without license plates. The system knows that the shape of a Toyota Corolla's taillights is different than a Ford Focus taillights. And so if I were to select, find me images of plateless Ford Focus vehicles, it would be able to identify those. It's an extremely good investigative resource. The city of Novato currently has 6 cameras, 4 of which are posted At the entrance and exit to Vintage Oak Shopping Center, we scan about 40,000 or so vehicles on a weekly basis. A lot of those are not what we call unique scans, right? It's multiple vehicles coming in and out. We've had the system in place fully operational for about, let's just call it 3 years, because there were some growing pains learning how to function. It was new technology at the time. We have 2 additional cameras that are portable, and they're battery powered, and we use them when we recognize maybe an increase in crime in a certain location or a pattern of crime. We can post those cameras up on, for instance, a utility pole pointed in a certain direction. So that's why we have 6 cameras. To give you a comparison to our neighbors, the Marin County Sheriff Office has somewhere between 25 and 30 cameras. The San Rafael Police Department has low 20s. The Central Marin Police Authority has high teens to low 20s. And Mill Valley has about a half dozen or so. Flock has become incredibly popular since their implementation. And I plan to share my screen a little bit later and kind of show you what the network of Flock cameras looks like. Patrick, can you help me? I want to make sure I hit all of your
Yes.
topics before I
Yes.
go into my verbose tangent about how great the technology is.
Yes, I think neighborhood crime data is the one that, and other, anything else you wish to.
Very good. Let me get to my correct screen here. First and foremost, important to say that Pacheco Valley does not have a high crime rate. And I'm also happy to say that the city of Novato does not have a high crime rate. I would say that a community of your size, approximately 1,000 homes or 1,000 residences, your crime rate is consistent for a neighborhood of 1,000 residences. We live in an incredible town. This place is above and beyond safe, and you should feel that way. The reality, though, is that friends of Pacheco Valley, the greater Pacheco Valley, and everybody and anybody in the city of Novato is prone to become the victim of a crime. In the last, what I did, and I ran these numbers about 2 weeks ago or so, but in the last year or so, law enforcement has been on your street for one reason or another just shy of 300 times. As a result of those 300 trips to your neighborhood, if you will, police officers investigated 25 crimes. 10% crimes versus calls for service is about consistent with law enforcement. Those crimes consist of anything from your standard disturbance, fireworks, petty thefts, stolen vehicles, vandalisms, hit and run, obviously domestic related incidents that have occurred in those areas, different crimes against persons and crimes against persons of a certain age, and kind of your standard problematic issues like drugs and alcohol, the types of things that we would anticipate in any neighborhood, in any jurisdiction in the state of California. So I saw somebody popped up on the chat looking for crime rates. I invite you to take a look at our crime map on our website too, in case you're ever curious. You can also reach out to our records section at the front desk. You are, excuse me, you are allowed to and privy to calls for service in your neighborhood. That's data that you're allowed to have. Obviously, you're not going to get names and specifics and whatnot, but you're absolutely allowed to receive that type of information. Make sure I hit on those topics before I move on.
Thanks.
Yeah, Peter, great question. At what point should crime rate, at what crime rate point should cameras be considered? And what if, how much of this is psychological? So you can't really put a cost on feeling safe. You can't really put a cost on security. So I can't really answer that question. And at what crime rate point should cameras be considered? It's also a difficult question for me to answer. Patrick's slide about the crime, the 75% of crimes that occur in this country involve some use of a vehicle. Well, I think that number might even actually be a little bit low. I think that with the advent of and the prevalence of the vehicle, our society and how much we utilize and rely upon vehicular traffic, I think it's safe to say that that number, that 75% is an absolute minimum. Especially important for your valley is everybody that comes in that's going to commit a crime using a vehicle is going to pass by island number 2, I believe you called it. Your sign or your camera is also going to include a notice. Now, I imagine that we're all pretty consistent about how we feel about signs in somebody's front yard that says that this home is ADT protected or being monitored. That's a prevention, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as we all know. But I would also argue that a criminal driving into your neighborhood that wants to break into a house, steal a car, steal your mail, probably isn't going to stop to read the notice sign. I think it's fair to say that. And then as far as parts of the valley more prone to crime than others, I think what you would find if you were able to get a statewide crime map, the closer you are to a major thoroughfare is usually more prone to crime. But criminals know that also, and they also know that it off of an arterial street and a little deeper into a neighborhood is often more secluded and fewer witnesses. So difficult for me to say specifically where, but I would say fair enough that the closer you are to Alameda del Prado, probably the closer you are to potentially being a victim of a crime. And these crimes don't have to be violent crimes. Remember, it could be hit and run also. And if more cars travel on Alameda del Prado than they do on Cinnamon Teal, chances are higher that you're going to be a victim of a hit and run on Alameda del Prado. And I think, Tom, I hit yours. How many crimes have been committed in the valley during 24 and 25? We have investigated in the last 365 days 25 crimes. That doesn't mean how many crimes were committed. That's how many were reported and investigated. If you picture crime in this country as an upside down, as the shape of a V, the widest part of the V is all the crimes that are committed. As you get narrower and narrower, you have the crimes that were reported. Then you have the crimes that were actually investigated, crimes where an arrest was made, and then a tippy tip of that V is the crimes that were prosecuted and people were taken to jail. People were convicted of a crime. So how many crimes have been committed? I can say that we've investigated 25. About 10% of the calls for service that we receive. All right. Proactive. I'm going to move on from crime rates, and I just wanted to feed you guys some information about proactive versus reactive law enforcement. Our police department is filled with extremely capable, well-trained, and dedicated police officers. I am very impressed with the team that we have now. It's not a secret, though, that we're understaffed. We're not any different than most mid-size agencies, mid to small agencies. We don't have the type of staffing that we wish we did. In fact, our department, your department, is allotted 59 sworn police officers. That's what they're budgeted for, if you will. That includes the chief all the way down to the brand new police officers that's still at the academy. That means that at any given time, somewhere between 3 and 5 police officers are working the entire city of Nevada. It's 28.5 square miles. We have a huge city for a population of 55,000. We have over 300 miles of roads in this town. And to give you a perspective, the city of Petaluma and the city of Roanoke Park have approximately the same population as us. Petaluma is 9 square miles and Roanoke Park is 7 square miles. So that should give you an idea perspective-wise. Fantastic question, Chrissy. You, as in Friends of Pacheco Valley, own the data. Oh, I'm sorry. The question is, where will the flock data reside and how will those data be transmitted to the police? The data that's absorbed through those cameras are owned by you. That data does not land anywhere in the flock network. It's encrypted, lives in a cloud, and is immediately available to law enforcement. So what I probably should have done here is back up and explain how the technology works. 24/7, 365, those cameras are working. They activate based on motion, and they work at night. They have technology where they will read the plate. If the plate is linked to a wanted vehicle, and to be clear, a wanted vehicle, unfortunately, and can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
As a vehicle passes by, the camera snaps an image. That includes at night. It captures an image of the plate as well. It scans the plate to see if it's involved in any kind of crime, missing person, Amber Alert. That system is called SVS, the Stolen Vehicle System, but it's not just stolen vehicles. It could be vehicles that are wanted as a result of a crime that had previously occurred. It could be missing persons, and it could also be lost or stolen license plates. If that plate is in that system, the statewide system, law enforcement will receive an alert within seconds. In other words, when a vehicle drives past into your neighborhood, we will know within seconds if it's a wanted vehicle or associated with a missing person, etc. Vehicles that do not have license plates are also scanned, but are only accessible via search by law enforcement or our detectives. And what that means is, if I were to put in search criteria for a white Ford Ranger without a license plate, I would be able to see how many white Ford Rangers without a license plate had driven by your camera. The technology is able to understand what your your taillights. The algorithm is able to say those taillights belong to a Ford Ranger, and it's able to pick up even at night the color of the vehicle. So response-wise, anybody entering your neighborhood with a wanted vehicle or a suspect vehicle or stolen vehicle, we would be alerted within seconds. And the beauty of your one way in, one way out is that we would be able to set up police as a perimeter, but also enter your valley to search for that wanted vehicle. That's the crime prevention part of this. And I have dozens of examples. I told you that we have cameras at Vintage Oaks, dozens of examples, almost on a daily basis, where some form of wanted vehicle enters the Vintage Oaks shopping center. That gives our officers a chance to go into the center and potentially prevent crime before it happens. From a responsive or investigative perspective, we're able to search the system for images that occurred in the last 30 days. So in other words, if somebody from your neighborhood called and said, somebody just lit off fireworks, got in their car and left, it looks like a dark sedan. There's not much to go off of. And if officers aren't relatively close, remember 28 square miles, the chances of that dark sedan making it to the freeway and getting and going is pretty high. Now we have the ability to backtrack in time and say the phone call came in at 4:01 a.m. It would probably take somebody a minute to a minute and a half to make that call, 4 a.m. The fireworks were lit off immediately preceding that, 3:58 a.m. We would be able to backtrack that time and say, based on the phone call, the time it occurred, and when they described the vehicle leaving, we would be able to know within approximately a minute, maybe less, when that dark sedan passed by those cameras. We'd research the images that popped up on the cameras, identify a dark sedan that matches the description, obtain a plate, or obtain vehicle information, and be able to track that down and continue our investigation. That's one example of the reactive or investigative use of this system. Now, we talked about sharing earlier. Bad guys don't know our jurisdictional lines, and they don't care about our jurisdictional lines. We have criminals from Vallejo, Sonoma County, San Francisco County, the East Bay, and they come here because we're partners in Flock with the agencies I just described, we're able to share that data and search scans in their area. We use it almost every time we conduct a search warrant outside of this city, just to get additional investigative or kind of intelligence on the person that we're dealing with. Missing persons. We have closed dozens of missing person cases thanks to Flock. This is one of those, almost the first thing you do when somebody's missing, and it could be somebody, dementia patient, it could be a juvenile runaway. We're able to use this system to track where the vehicle went that they were last seen in. It has been extremely successful in finding missing persons. Camera maintenance. I am very impressed with the Flock department, the corporation. When one of our cameras wasn't functioning at 100%, we received a box in the mail and it was addressed to camera number 4. So curiously, I opened the box and it was a brand new camera. We posted up the camera, swapped it out for camera number 4, and we were back up to 100% again. That was without them contacting us and telling us that we needed to repair camera number 4. They are well ahead of the game. That's the same with our batteries. When our mobile ones, the batteries weren't functioning at 100%, we received batteries in the mail in a very short period without them even reaching out to us. You, as an organization, have no need to do any maintenance or any upkeep on those cameras. It's handled in-house, and Flock handles it themselves. I'm not allowed to get a court order to share footage with the federal government. And the federal government can't access ours even with their own court order. It's 24/7, daytime and nighttime, Maryland. There's one other community in Novato that has a Flock camera. They're an HOA up on the very north end of town. I didn't get their permission to share their information. I don't think they would mind if I did, but I think you may be able to do a quick search and find an HOA in northern Nevada that has Flock. I think that's all the cameras. Did I miss any all the questions? Did I miss any questions?
What are the cons? You've gone through all the good, pro and con. So I wonder if there are any cons.
Yeah, our agency was the tip of the spear in Flock and have quickly fallen behind keeping up with the Joneses. We are woefully under-cameraed in our town, and it's because of the cost. I believe Patrick said it's $5,000, $2,500 per camera. Your cameras are cheaper than ours. Ours are hardwired in, and so they require infrastructure, and the cost is the con.
So just the cost.
Yes, I'm trying my best not to be a Flock spokesman. I'm trying to stay law enforcement specific here. I don't.
Are they the only company that does this?
There used to be another company called Vigilant that we utilized for a short period, and they went under.
Okay. Are these cameras easy to destroy by just somebody coming in with the right stick or whatever? I mean, is it easier for someone to bash these things off their perch or break the camera? Does that happen?
Yeah, we haven't seen it happen. I can't imagine it hasn't happened anywhere. I'm sure.
Right.
They're 12 feet off the ground. That's kind of that happy place that the camera likes to be, is 12 feet high. We have not had any problems here, and I haven't heard of it happening. I'm sure that some agency somewhere has had a camera vandalized, but it's all replaced. You guys are covered, so they come there and replace it.
Thank you.
You can defy a federal court order. We're not allowed to defy a federal court order, but if when I said that we do not share with the federal government, and even if they had a federal court order, we're not going to defy it. They'd have to access our system, and we're not required to assist them accessing our system. So their court order would be, they'd have to take my computer. The current state of this country, I can't imagine you wouldn't be forced to supply the data if ordered. Well, they'd be in court with our lawyers, and they'd have to figure out how to get into my system, into the department system, and access our software. Ooh, Neil, good question. It is cellular data, and I don't know what provider. Great question. And what happens if the network goes down? I have not experienced any interruptions with the system. I wish I was the tech guy. I'm not the tech guy, but it is transmitted over cellular data. And our response from the California law enforcement telecommunications system, the system we use to check your license plates and run you out to make sure you're not a serial killer, that system is alerted, or we receive the alert from that system within seconds. And the Flock system, our interface is web-based. If it's not too much trouble, Patrick, can I share my screen?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Share down below.
You're going to get a request from me to
Yes.
share my screen.
Yeah, I just allowed it.
Everybody see okay?
No, not yet.
Don't see it yet.
Here we go.
It's coming.
How's that?
There you go.
All right, everybody. So this is a Flock. Let me move my camera over here. This is a map of the city of Novato. You see that orange circle, that's Vintage Oaks. That's the 4 cameras that we have on our system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pan out here, and what you'll see are cameras that we're sharing with, or cameras that we have access to as an agency. And as I back out, you start getting into the Bay Area. So when I said keeping up with the Joneses, I wasn't joking around. Here's the South Bay, Peninsula, San Jose. As I move past Fresno and I move my way into Southern California, Bakersfield, there we are in Southern California. Yes, in power outages, the system still works. Solar backup, battery backup, and ours are tied into infrastructure. So I can't tell you the battery, the solar and battery backup time frame, but yes, there's redundancies in place. Chrissy, is that a hand raise?
Yes, it is. Thank you. You're quick. So you just showed that map of locations with, I guess those are Flock systems, or are they all Flock?
That is Flock, yes.
Okay. So how many of those are funded by independent entities, like what's potentially being proposed for the neighborhood versus cities?
Great question. What you just saw on my map are law enforcement agencies that we have access to their data, if you will. I'm of the opinion if they share their data, we'll share ours.
Sure.
Especially if there's a nexus to a crime that occurred. So what you saw were not private entities. Those were all law enforcement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I don't see any more hands raised or any more questions coming through the chat, Patrick.
Yep.
I think I hope I hit on everything I plan to hit on. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
So we can take a few more minutes if people And I have noticed somebody, in fact, just joined. Oh, there's another question for you.
Yeah, the question from Janine is, would you say most flock cameras are municipal? And I hinted at this, kind of beat around the bush a little bit. We have somewhere between 3 and 5 police officers working at any given time in your town. You're safe, you're in a good place. But this is a force multiplier. We could potentially have, well, we currently have 24/7 eyeballs at the entrance and exits to Vintage Oaks. That's a huge win. So most are municipal. I would say probably yes, because
Coming up, it's the feedback loop, right after this.
Okay, mute.
Great detective. You expect to migrate. Under pressure, and you'll get result. I'm in trouble.
Stephen, please mute.
You've just challenged him.
Stephen, Earl, please mute.
I know how, where, when, and I'm close to knowing why who. Take your scandals.
Okay.
Negative. New series on Masterpiece Mystery.
I would say most are
Next
municipal.
time on Antiques Roadshow, we're looking back at San Jose, California, where guests were thrilled to hear what our experts have to say.
When I saw this, I thought that's what I really love.
There you go. Nice job, Stephen. I love Antiques Roadshow also, but most are municipal because it's a force multiplier. Instead of stationing an officer at the entrance and exits to Vintage Oaks, where we get daily criminal activity, we have cameras there. So yeah, I would say most are municipal. Maryland, I believe Patrick hit this. The cameras are $2,500 each per year. And law enforcement, your police department is the only one that would monitor the cameras. Erica, the readers are working 24/7. Does NPD only check the data when there is a reported crime or inquiry? Great question. Number one, if a car passes under a camera and the car is associated with a missing person, a wanted person, the car is itself stolen, or an Amber Alert, for instance, if it has been entered into the system because something bad happened, the camera will immediately alert us. Conversely, if a crime occurs and we receive a report, my car was just stolen, it's this information, and I haven't seen it in 12 hours. When I woke up this morning, my car was gone. I can go into the system, search your plate, and try to find out where that car went. And since we share or have access to data in Vallejo, for instance, San Pablo, Richmond, San Francisco, it helps us to find a stolen vehicle within hours after it was stolen, sometimes immediately.
I'm sorry, can I just ask a follow-up? I understand that you get the alert immediately. How quickly are law enforcement officers able to follow up on the alert that is sent through the system?
We love catching bad guys. So when that alert comes through that there's a stolen vehicle in our system or a wanted vehicle, for instance, a burglary occurred in San Rafael, they have the plate, they'll enter it in as a wanted vehicle. When that goes ding in our system, we're going. I love my dispatchers, but it's faster than dispatchers.
That's great. Thank you.
Great question, Chrissy. Now, you have the right to opt out for privacy's sake. You can, of course, enter your license plate, and if it is scanned, it'll just be kicked off to the side and doesn't land. Unfortunately, if your vehicle is stolen and you call in your vehicle is stolen, we won't be able to track it using Flock.
Are the questions winding down a bit? Don't want to deny anybody the chance to ask questions. Let me just say, this is Patrick. let me just say, Friends of Pacheco Valley will do this project only if there is broad support in the neighborhood. I personally, in listening to Lieutenant Bates, think this is a great thing. For me, the most significant part of it is what Lieutenant Bates calls a force multiplier. I would call it having a camera at the entrance and exit of our valley is like having a policeman 24/7 who never gets tired, who never has an off day or a vacation day. It's just there to watch, and it's only it's something that would be incredibly helpful to deter and to help solve crimes and other problems. That's my opinion, but I'm only one person. We're only one home. So what we really need is for some dialogue with the HOAs and a willingness of people to actually support this program. But in my opinion, this is low cost insurance, safety insurance, to give our Novato PD, who are underfunded and understaffed and hardworking, a better opportunity to be a good service to us. So that's my little statement.
Can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would like to agree with you, Patrick, because, well, first of all, there was a break-in on Josepha Court. I don't know, about a year ago. Maybe you all heard about it. Number 16 Josepha Court, and I don't believe they've caught the culprits, and the neighbors moved out actually. And I think if you had the camera there, clocking in the time. Because you would have seen the vehicle, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
And talk about the homeowners association.
Can I ask the question though? Let's say there is a crime, but we haven't. If I report a break-in, but I can't tell you that I saw the vehicle leaving, there's not really much you can search to identify the vehicle associated with the crime. Is that correct?
No, actually, I disagree. All I need is a time frame. What we've done in the past, and we do it regularly, is unknown. The assumption is that the person that came into your neighborhood, into the valley, came in a vehicle. That's the first assumption, which can be dangerous. But if we have even a general time frame of when this crime occurred, we're able to go back and track that data to see if a vehicle entered just before that time frame and exited just after that time frame. And if those two things match, we'll be able to go back and investigate where those vehicles belong. And not every time, but if we notice a vehicle in and out that doesn't live in the neighborhood, it's not a local business, for instance, and perhaps is associated with other break-ins or something like that, we'll be able to track it that way. In fact, a great example was not long ago, a stolen vehicle, but also organized retail theft that left the Vintage Oak Shopping Center. We didn't really have a good time frame because the employees weren't able to give us an exact time frame, and their access to their surveillance cameras was limited. So we were able to backtrack, looking at vehicles that came and went with just that time frame. We identified a vehicle out of another county that had come through, and of course the vehicle was associated with other crimes. So a time frame is all we really need to at least start getting a lead.
Yeah, and I would just like to add that someone on our street did see the vehicle, and so that I don't believe those culprits have been caught, have they, Lieutenant? They trashed the house. And the other thing that's concerning is that the neighbors were not alerted. The HOA, I think, was told, but I think the neighbors should be alerted when there's break-ins like this. Don't you all agree? Yes?
Be nice to, yeah.
Were you all notified?
I agree. I live on the Josepha Court. That's the first time I've heard of this.
Yes, exactly. It's not right. And anyway, I really think that the HOA, we all need to come together and talk about this, what Patrick brought up.
Well, thank you. Lieutenant, I see there's a couple of other, some hand raises and so on. Who else? Are there any other chat messages?
Jeff Mack, are there any stats that show a higher conviction rate on crimes committed and investigated in communities with flock cameras? I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but what I can tell you, I think, I believe it was Barbara had just mentioned a break-in. The fact that, and assuming we didn't get any leads and we weren't able to close the case, it's because we didn't have any leads, you know, and I tried to quickly research it, but I can't get into it fast enough. So I don't have those rates. I am very confident the flock would probably, if you Googled flock conviction rates, you might be able to find something.
Okay, Patrick?
Yes.
We do have a Friends of Pacheco Valley question. And it says, friends receive adequate donations for 1/2 the cost. If not, would the HOAs pick up the cost and make it part of their budgets? Some owners have many unexpected expenses this year in the Valley.
Right. Well, it does always boil down to, first, if we have the will to do this, and then, of course, do we have the money? We're well aware that some of the HOAs have some real financial pressures. Our idea, and it's only the idea, is that probably every HOA could find $500 to put into this per year. That's not going to break anybody's bank, we don't think. Somebody else asked, well, what about the single family homeowners? Do we think they're going to come up with the $2,500 that we suggest? We've had discussions with a number of them, and I have certainly heard expressions of support. Now we're toward the end of our year. This year and every year, donations start slowly, and then as the year comes to a conclusion, people make a donation, tax deductible donation before the year is out. It's always this way, but it's we've been pretty consistent in Friends of Pacheco that every year we get donations that are in the neighborhood of $45,000 to $50,000. Now we use most of that for maintenance of and new landscaping and so on. But we're pretty sure that if there is a will to do this, the single family homeowners will step up for that $2,500. The real question is the HOAs that we need to hear from. So the suggestion we would have as Friends of Pacheco Valley is in the next week after this, before this gets cold, that the HOA boards do what you have to do to poll your residents and get together and tell us what you think you can do. And then we'll see what to do going forward.
Kathy had something, and then I see Chrissy has something.
Yes.
Kathy Schlegel? No.
I'm fine. I was just saying the $50,000 was at the beginning. We're not getting it this year. So far, we've gotten $2,000 since January. So just to get it out there that we aren't huge on money and we still need donations.
Right. We're not. We can't raise your taxes because we don't have that power.
I know.
We only take donations that people are willing.
Right.
Chrissy, you got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I've had my hand up for a bit. I appreciate that Friends of Pacheco Valley is hosting this informational meeting to solicit feedback, because I don't feel like the Friends have solicited feedback on prior projects. So I do appreciate that. To me, it's very difficult, and it seems quite premature to make a decision when we don't have more information on the types and frequency and location of crimes. I feel like I'm under the impression that there's not that much crime in the Valley, but then I just learned about something that happened on Josepha. I'm in that HOA where that occurred, and I was not aware of that. So I just feel like there's not enough information to make a decision. I am all for supporting law enforcement, but I just don't know like how, you know, how the crime here in the Valley compares. It also, I do wonder about OcuSun. I haven't seen them mentioned in these conversations. And also, it concerns me a bit that, I mean, my understanding is a lot of crimes are crimes of opportunity. And if a crime is done by somebody in the neighborhood who has opted out, then that's not going to get captured. So I feel like for me, I just need to see the data, and I appreciate, you know, hearing about the number of calls per year, but I feel like a lot more information is needed for me to feel comfortable making a decision about this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Janine. You have your hand up.
Janine Albert, is it over?
Yeah, I
Please.
just wanted to respond in terms of, you know, you're asking for feedback. For example, our next board meeting is next week, and I'll put it on the agenda, and I'll encourage owners to check out the video. I don't know how quickly you can get it up. But you know, I may get 10 people out of 100 units, you know, telling me what they think. So we'll have to go with the majority. I will tell you that in the first mention of it, it wasn't well received. I'm pretty neutral on it myself, but I really want to honor what the owners here want, because I need to hear from them.
Okay,
Very good conscious.
thank you. And other hands up?
Alan, did you want to mention the, you talked about, oh gosh, slipped my mind now.
Well, while you think about it, I can quickly answer a couple questions that popped up. If a guest who has rented a car that was previously involved in a crime, would they be sought and questioned? We have a very good relationship with our rental car agencies. In fact, a lot of the investigators that work for Enterprise, EAN Holdings, Enterprise Alamo, Nationwide, and the other companies, a lot of them are former law enforcement. And so they're law enforcement friendly. If a crime is committed using a rental car, which is very common, we have a great relationship working with them. And then regarding case closure rates or conviction rates, I just did a quick Google. It looks like Texas Christian University did a pretty good analysis on communities with and communities without license plate reading and surveillance cameras. It looks like, and it was in 2024. So I'm trying not to just use Google search to give you some research, but it looks like TCU did a study on it.
Peterson.
And yes, if the cameras are damaged or destroyed, they're completely replaced by the company.
And Neil, you had your hand up, Neil Peterson?
Yeah, Lieutenant Bates just answered the question. If the cameras are destroyed or somehow vandalized, they'll be replaced at no cost, I assume.
That's correct. Yeah, I think technically you're leasing them.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have a question just on OcuSun. I thought that was a real good comment. What happens with them? I mean, they're coming in and out of the Valley all the time, and I would think they want to be part of the system or not.
That's a good question. We have not reached out to OcuSun. We did when some of us formed the committee that ended up getting the Valley to purchase the entry meadow a few years ago. And OcuSign actually participated with us and agreed to be taxed for the metal purchase. Now, that was a tax, not a voluntary contribution. But because OcuSign is located in the Valley, we would certainly reach out to them to see if they would be interested in helping support this camera program.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And you want to have them reach out to you.
Yes, and again, we will do our best. Well, first of all, a big giant thank you to Lieutenant Bates for taking your time tonight to speak to all of us.
After hours?
Yes, after hours. Very helpful. Shed a lot of light on things that maybe we knew a little bit about or nothing about. So we're all better informed. And as far as next steps, we will endeavor to get this on our website in the next several days. Haven't done it before, so we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, we should be able to. I have a source.
Okay, good.
They can help.
Under 30.
Yeah, just send me the link, and I think I can get it on there. Okay,
very good, Larry. And again, I encourage all of us to just talk about this, think about what you've learned tonight, and be prepared to support or not support. We will not do this unless there's broad support. If there is, we will, and we'll find a way to get it done. So I just thank you all for participating, and again, thank you to Lieutenant Bates for taking your time tonight to speak to us. So with that, we'll.
I have a question.
Oh.
Hi, Cherie.
Hi, Cherie.
I've been trying to get in while I'm looking at this. I just wanted to say, I'm in favor of this, and this is why. On our street, very close, parked right in front of the house, their catalytic converters were taken. There were 2 of them, 2 different times. And had we had some surveillance of cars coming and going, I think that would have been a real benefit in those 2 cases. I'm not even aware of others, but I'm sure there are. But those are 2 that are very close to us, and I thought
This meeting is being recorded.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. There was some suspicious activity reported in one of the HOAs about 2 months ago regarding some car going around with 3 or 4 occupants. One of the young male occupants was knocking on doors saying he was doing some kind of survey. And when they were challenged, they ran back to the car and took off. I don't know if that was ever reported to the police, but I do know that HOA was very concerned. Somebody was like casing the place. I moved into the Valley in the 1990s, and I wasn't here 2 years, and our house was broken into. Came in through the sliding glass door with a screwdriver.
Yikes.
Oh.
My last question is just for anyone who watches this video after the fact and might have some questions that were not addressed here. Is there a way for them to write to someone or get those questions answered? Or maybe we could get that on your website with the link, if you have any questions not answered here.
Yes, in fact, if anybody goes to our website, we're all listed there. Anybody in this valley, and each time we put out a newsletter, the board members of Friends of Pacheco, us volunteers, are available for anyone to reach out to with questions or comments or criticisms or anything else, and we welcome that. So by all means, if there are follow-up questions, and probably there will be, please reach out to us. If there are questions for Lieutenant Bates, I think we can probably forward questions to you, Lieutenant, if it's okay, if there are some.
Yeah, if you want to compile questions and send them to me in one fell swoop, I'll get a response to you as soon as possible.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else now? Final call for questions or comments. Let's see. Is there somebody in the waiting room?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Patrick, one last final comment, and then I promise we're done. you all are doing the right thing and are already way ahead of the game. You have an organized group of residents in a small area, relatively small area, who are already in connection with each other. Whether you see each other all the time or do block parties or whatever it is, just having these kinds of meetings, Pacheco Valley is well ahead of the game. So yes, crime prevention is important. Yes, investigative techniques and resources are important because there are victims of crimes in your neighborhood. But what this is right here is the first and biggest step towards crime prevention in your neighborhood. So keep this going, keep this alive.
Yeah, I just thought of what I was going to ask you to mention, that if we did put a camera in the valley and they were working, that you had, based on crime statistics, for our area, Novato, North Bay, you predicted, I think you said there would be one hit once every 3 months on some bad outcome or crime.
Are you going to make me do math now?
I think you did. I think you did that in your head. You were trying to extrapolate, if we did put the cameras in here, how many times we get a hit on something that was crime related.
Yeah,
and I think you said once every 3 months, something like that.
Well, what I can tell you is that almost on a daily basis, we get some form of hit going in and out of Vintage Oaks. Now that's 40,000 cars per week scanning. I don't know the population in and out of your valley, but what I can tell you is that the cops came to your neighborhood 250 times out of 365 days. So, oh gosh, I knew I was going to back myself into a corner doing math. But every couple of days, we're in your neighborhood for something.
Yeah, we see you.
We see you and we thank you.
Yeah, of
being
course.
here.
Yeah, we do.
You call, we haul.
Okay, I think maybe we should just close the meeting because.
No, Lori's got a question now.
Oh, Lori does. Excuse me, Lori. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought of this question as people were asking about OcuSun. So would OcuSun employees be able to opt out? I don't know how many employees are at OcuSun, but it seems like they're a really important entity to contact and let know what's going on with this. Because, all of their employees could potentially be impacted.
Yeah, any owner of any vehicle can opt out.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just residents.
No, any owner of any vehicle can enter their license plate into the, I don't know, opt out option of Flock, and that plate, it's like it never existed.
Okay, how do people know that they can opt out?
So if you visit the Novato Police transparency page, the one that has all of our policies and why we do things the way we do things, there's a special transparency page just for Flock. It lays out our prohibitions, our policy, and all that stuff. That there's a link to Flock and the opt out, or they can just Google Flock opt out, and they'll find the site.
Yeah, and Lori, I think that's such a good question, and we will talk to OcuSun. We will go through everything with them, give them all the information, tell them how to opt out, because that is a great question.
Yeah, because they wouldn't know necessarily to look on the NPD website, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Question. Okay, it looks like we've got more questions. Neil?
Yeah, alas, Lori's question led to another one. If somebody can opt out, I assume it has to be the owner of the vehicle to opt out. Is that correct? The registered owner?
I was worried you were going to say that. I've never.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need to send in some kind of verification that you're the owner of the vehicle. I'm sorry. It's very simple, as simple as typing in the plate, but I don't know if there's any controls beyond that.
Well, that leads to the question of, so if the bad guys are onto this and they got a car they stole and they have a means to put in the license plate number, doesn't that defeat the whole thing? Sorry.
You hit the nail on the head. So I'm hoping that there's some safeguards beyond just entering the plate. But it sounds horrible to say, but we don't catch the smart ones.
So I have a question. This is Jean. After a year, let's say that everybody agrees that we should have this system. After about a year, can we have some kind of an assessment, maybe meet again? Is it possible, Lieutenant Bates, to get some kind of an analysis of how well it's worked, or how do other jurisdictions analyze this?
Block puts together a very comprehensive and very visually appealing data sheet, quarterly, monthly, daily, however you like it, scans, and then what they call unique scans. So obviously repetitive vehicles coming through, looking at unique scans, how many hot list hits, so how many bad guy cars came through, and then the results of that hot list hit. So in other words, a stolen car came in, hey, Novato PD, what did you do with it? And we enter in what happened, how many bad guys we got, what's the value of the stuff we recovered, what crime do we think they were committing other than the stolen car. So I'd be happy to share that data with you guys 6 months after go live, if it goes live, and then we do it again a year later, something like that.
Terrific. Thank you.
Great question. Good answer. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, it's time for dinner, everybody.
Yeah, it's time for dinner, everybody. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Lieutenant Bates. Really appreciate your patience with us and your forthrightness. So we'll see everybody around the valley, and now it's up to everybody that listen to this and those our neighbors and friends to decide what to do. So thank you all, and we'll close the meeting. Again, many thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.